It's Music Scene Investigation. Rich Wildman here. Glad to hear you, everybody. Glad to see you as well. I can't hear everybody. I can hear most people when they groan every time they see my face on air. But that's okay. I'm used to it. I'm an old radio guy. We're all used to that kind of thing. It's great to have you with us again today. We have 3 new songs we're going to put in front of our panel, find out what they have to say about them. I'm really interested, considering last week they had a lot of good things to say. We'll find out if they go to the course again this week. We're going to go around and meet everybody as soon as I tell you how to get your music on the broadcast. If you're out there, you'd like to have your music in front of the panel, MusicSceneInvestigation.com is the place to be. You want to make sure you go there, click the Submit a Song at the top of the page. Signing up on site is very easy. It's simple, it's painless, and it doesn't cost a darn thing. So make sure you do that. Follow the informational outline there on what to submit, how to submit it. Get it sent to us. We select 3 songs randomly each and every week to appear in front of our panel. They have no idea what they're going to hear. They don't know the name of the artist, the name of the song, nor the genre of the song before they hear that song. They give their opinion and critique of that song, and then they're introduced to it. So it truly is an unbiased review of the music they hear on Music Scene Investigation. Let's meet our panel today. Over in London, England, he is always there each and every week. It's Mr. Ian Husbands. Hey, Ian, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm good. How is everyone else?
I think they're okay.
That's all right then.
I mean, I really couldn't tell for sure because everybody's so far away, and you know how it is. So how have things been going with you? Everything all right? The winter over and it's spring finally?
Do you know what? Today we've actually seen some signs of spring. We went out for a walk. We took the kids out for a meal and then went and fed the ducks. And it was actually, the sun was out and it wasn't too cold. So fingers crossed, maybe spring has sprung.
Yeah, well, I think that Punxsutawney Phil was right. I think we have like 6 more weeks of winter and we're going to get pounded before it gets better.
You mean we're stuck in Groundhog Day?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's too much Bill Murray for my liking.
You know, it is what it is, and that's just kind of the way it goes. So anything new going on with you?
No, it's sort of a bit quiet at the moment, which isn't a bad thing, concentrating on other aspects of life at the moment. But I have got some really interesting witness results for you this week.
I was just going to ask about that. Last week we had Monkey Bat, second player score, which was our Song of the Week selectee, and Tracy Thorn on the broadcast. What did the witness statement say?
Well, it was all a bit undecided last week. You know, it was difficult to make a decision for all of us. There were some good pieces of music on, and our audience seemed to agree with us because they couldn't really make their minds up either. For best songwriting, we've got Song 3, which was On a Shelf by Tracy Thorn, has got 83% of the votes, which is good. So they've taken that, with Song 2 getting the other remaining 17. On best performance, we've got Song 1, which is Springtime Love by Monkey Bat, with 50% of the votes. And we've got Song 3, On a Shelf by Tracy Thorn, with 50% of the votes also.
That's interesting.
But then for best mix and production, we have Song 2, which was Falling Forever by Second Player Score, with 100% of the votes. No one could really make their minds up at all this week.
Just like the panel, a split decision all the way around is what it sounds like.
It does. And, you know, we've now got a new idea coming to MSI. We've got Pinky, who's out in our chat, and he's basically taken on the role of MSI janitor. And he's going to basically clean up after myself and Rich and the panelists after the show by writing up a little blog with a bit of his thoughts of the show, his thoughts of the music that didn't quite make it through as the Song of the Week, and other content like that. So look out for Pinky's weekly cleanup coming soon.
All right, well, we'll definitely be looking for that. I appreciate the information, Ian, and like to welcome Pinky over to the team as well. Over in the English Riviera, as I call it, is Mr. James Anderson. James, how are things now that you're out of cuffs and you've sold the yacht, I hear?
Well, yeah, I've been let back into my studio. There is a police guard outside because there's still a bit of controversy surrounding the allegations behind the Swiss bank account stuff, but it's all good. I went for a walk along the beach earlier. Things are definitely looking better weather-wise down here in Brighton and London as well, I hear from Ian. So things are looking up, and I'm back in my regular studio. Sorry about the quality of the hit list in the week. I was in a temporary location only known by certain authorities.
At least you're honest about it. You know that's got to count for something in the way of the hearing and everything.
Well, in a fortnight's time, it could be from the cell, it could be from the courtroom, but I'll definitely be there.
From the courtroom, please. That'll be the most, thrilling to watch.
Indeed.
There you have it. So, what's been going on with you, James? Anything new outside the realm of the newspapers that we read about every day?
Yeah, outside of the realm of the newspapers, I've been taking exams. As many of our regular listeners know, I'm doing an electrical course as well as my sound engineering. So that was pretty heavy going during the week. That was 5 hours and extremely stressful, but good fun at the same time. As for things audio, it's been a quiet month so far, but hopefully things will improve as time goes on.
Well, I'm glad.
So very few jobs this month, but they've been coming in slowly but surely.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're at least keeping busy and staying for the most part out of trouble. I mean, as you know, we're all want to get in trouble every once in a while. Otherwise, it would be a boring life. But it sounds like you're exciting enough without being in trouble.
There's always something different happening in my world, whether it's breaking the law or doing something good for the general public. There's a real mix of things.
All right, well, enough breaking the law. The next time I see you, I don't want it to be from behind bars. That kind of thing would not be nice.
No, the courtroom is more
see what happens.
Yeah, I hear that prisons don't have the best lighting anyway, so it's always better to keep it that way. I guess
I'm sure they're better than they were last week.
Yeah, that could very well be true. I don't know. Our guest panelist is from London as well. His background as a session musician, and he is worked with the music industry and others for quite a long time, since the 1990s. He's worked with the Arbiter Group Limited. He's worked in artist relations for companies including Sabian, Vic Firth, Romeo, Gertz, Gibraltar, and many others. Our guest panelist this week is Jerome Marcus. Jerome, welcome to MSI. Glad to have you with us.
Pleasure. Glad to be here.
Now, I understand that you are a percussionist. You're a drummer. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. In actual fact, I missed half the day today because I have spent last night gigging, and as everybody else enjoyed the day, I'm the only one that has slept most of the day. In actual fact, right now is my day. I tend to be kind of like a night owl.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think most musicians are night owls for that matter. And you look good. You look well rested, by the way.
Thank you.
Now, I want to ask you a couple of questions. I know that you got started out as a drummer very early in life. According to the bio I have in front of me, you started out at age 6, at a very, very young age. So what is it that prompted you to be a drummer, to play the drums as opposed to anything else?
Right. That was quite funny because for my I wasn't born in this country. I was born in Singapore, and when I was there, the only way they could keep me quiet was without demanding very much, was to actually give me a pair of chopsticks and beat on saucepans. Okay. So that way, that kept me quiet. I mean, but it kept me quiet, but it was still noisy. But this carried on, and usually Yeah, and usually this carried on as a phase, but my grandfather noticed that there was something more than that, and he was the one that actually bought my first drum kit. Funny enough, one of which I've still got here now. The rest of it's kind of like perished and broken, but I've still got one piece from my original drum kit here, and it was a Rossini kit. Not a very well-known make, but it's a Rossini kit, green sparkle, and it was a kind of like a three-piece kit, and that was how I actually that's what I actually got. My father, in actual fact, was a musician. He was a saxophonist and clarinetist in a big band. And he was the one that kind of like, he didn't actually encourage me to play. He just carried on and oversaw what I did, and he played clarinet and saxophone in a huge big band during World War II in Singapore. And basically what he really did, what you weren't allowed to do in Singapore was to play anything to do with English or American music. You were only allowed to play Japanese or Chinese music, in the band itself.
I did not know.
But, that was one of the requisites of actually Japanese occupation in Singapore. And one of that, and one of those things that happened was that he sat down and he looked at, and he used to be a dab hand at putting things together electronically. So secretly, buried in the back garden, he used to have pieces of a radio kit, and he used to tune in to BBC World Service. And on the day that he knew, and he took a risk on this one, on the day he knew that that the British were going to take over and invade Singapore to abolish Japanese occupation, he went ahead, and that night he had a gig, and he actually went on and ended the gig with the Star Spangled Banner and the what call it the British national anthem.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
That is a very brave man, and quite an inspiration for you, I'm sure.
Oh yes, he was quite a big inspiration for me, to actually get stuff done, and he just said, I take a lot of his saying, and he was a very wise man. One of those things that he always said to me, and it's always stuck with me in my head, and I still pass it on to the young in the family. I don't have any kids, but the youngest in the family, which are my nieces and nephews, and just said, never wait for opportunity to knock on your door. Create it.
Well said. Absolutely well said. Now, I know that you're also a working musician as well. You've been in a number of bands for a number of years. Beginning back, my goodness, beginning back in the early 80s, if not before, it looks like from the bio here, joining the Johnny Marr's Blues Band. I love blues, by the way, and a number of other bands, as well as one of our very own guest panelists on the show, working with Sam Kelly on his station house as well. So how did you and Sam meet?
Funny enough, in the late 1980s, Sam and I got to know each other as drummers, and we soon got on with each other, both personally and musically. And during those days when gigs were plentiful, Sam used to get double, trebly, quadruply booked. Likewise, myself, and there was a lot of gigs to hand round to people. And he used to be on the phone to me. I used to be on the phone to him, and we used to do a lot of that happening. And but mainly Sam used to actually give me a ring and ask me to fulfill his diary because he was so busy then. What happened through the business, I went through and played with loads of different people, within the industry. and got the opportunity to play for many, 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 many people. And but they got to the stage where we were on the cusp of actually having a record deal. Unfortunately, I got ripped off in the business, to the tune of around about maybe £20,000 plus. And
Ouch.
not being from London, yeah, nearly London. Well, I mean, most musicians who go through it at that time, actually, they've got a story to tell of that kind, to be fair. But we never found him. And so I just decided, not being from London, I was a complete greenhorn in London. And I just said, well, if this is what the music scene is all about, they can keep it. So I actually put my sticks down for that length of time until I came across, and I've actually got on within the musical instrument business, and worked my way to where I was, which was European Artist Relations for Sabian, come the end of it. And during my time there, during that period, Sam and I lost contact with each other. And I actually came across him playing at a blues festival in Exeter called Bishopstock. And he wasn't actually on the stage playing. I came over there and I was waiting down, and I was looking after the drummer for Taj Mahal, which was Tony Brunegel.
Right.
And Tony and I know very, very well. And, I was waiting for him to get ready. So while he was getting ready, I got to kill time. I went to a marquee, and in that marquee, they were holding a blues workshop. And in the blues workshop, there was Sam Kelly doing a lecture. And he spotted me. I couldn't believe he was there. He couldn't believe I saw him. And it had been a good 11 years since I saw him. He actually stopped the workshop and said, and shouted out on the microphone, Jerome, whatever you do, don't move. I'll be finished in 15 minutes. I want to talk to you.
That's Sam, yeah.
Right? And from that day, he got hold of me, and I went over there, went to one of his gigs, and he wasn't playing, but for what he was doing and the caliber of drumming he was at, he wasn't playing, he wasn't being supported by any musical instrument company. So that's when I came in. So I gave him his Sabian endorsement, his stick endorsement, his drum case endorsement, and and his cymbal endorsement, all of those things. I actually kitted him up. And one day in 2008, moving on, my position got abolished from the company, because that was the year of the credit crunch worldwide. And he came across to me, and he just said to me, he said, Jerome, and both of us had played before, and I used to play percussion anyway. He said, come and play and jam with my band. Come and let's have some, let's have some downtime. Forget about all this endorsement stuff. And he recognized that he had missed playing with me. And he offered me the job in his band after speaking to the band soon after that. And that's how Sam and I came in. He went over there, and I was a bit rusty at the time. My confidence was around my ankles. And he just turned around. He said, Jerome, he said, you've got something there. He said, come and join our band, but on one condition. He just said, you've got to get yourself match fit. If you're not match fit in 6 months, right, you're out of the band. And he told me right up front. And I worked my ass off, to actually get on to working with him. And I've been with him ever since.
That's a neat story. It's pretty amazing when you think about it, how careers kind of have a funny way of working out. And, you get back with old people you work with after long periods of times and things like that. But I know you've also gone on to some newer stuff, doing some video stuff as well. You have a video project called Mad, Bad, and Dangerous that's out on YouTube. Tell us a little bit about that. What is Mad, Bad, and Dangerous?
Mad, Bad, and Dangerous, in a nutshell, came to me by a guy who actually wrote the book. The book is available on Amazon. If you dial in, you certainly can actually get hold of it. Certainly available in the UK at the moment. And basically, it's a quirky look at the actually industry from a drummer's standpoint, telling him about the fun stuff that actually happened within the industry. And that's the whole point of Spike Webb writing this book. And he was actually amazing when I actually met him. I spoke to him about it, and his nephew then had graduated from video college, and a very, very talented guy indeed. And he said, why don't you actually have the people that you wrote in the book, interview them again on camera? And we'll put a program out called Mad, Bad, and Dangerous. Well, he did this without me. And, he interviewed people like Ian Mosley and, from Marillion, Nick Mason from Pink Floyd, loads of different people that he actually interviewed. Who was it called again? The guy from the Clash, the drummer from the Clash. Name escapes me for the minute. Topper Headon, that's right, from the Clash. And at the end, he just turned around and found out that he couldn't have the contacts. He didn't have the contacts to get to the people he really wanted to. Then another friend of his, because Spike Webb is also a drummer, said to get hold of me. And of course, being in the industry, I got to get to know all of these people within this industry. And as contacts, I managed to get hold of him. And as a result of it, we've teamed up and brought out an online video series of Mad, Bad, and Dangerous, which, going back to your question, documents a drummer's journey from the start of his career right up to present day. The premise for actually doing it is that the drummer who we interview has got to be still drumming today. They haven't just, it wasn't just a one-off thing, and they just make the most of it at the time. And going back to your question earlier on in your answer, saying, it's funny how things turn around in this business.
Yeah.
What holds, in my opinion, what holds everybody together is the passion for actually doing it.
Right.
If you have a passion for doing what you really need to do, just like you hosting this radio show and making the best out of the opportunity you've got to promote new music. What you're doing is you're supporting the passion, your own passion. And that, for anybody I got time for, there's a lot of people in this business who are in it just to make the quick buck.
Right. There definitely are. Now, speaking of promoting new music, I know that you're also a brand ambassador for Crier drums, which ties you in yet again with another guest panelist who's been on MSI a number of times, Mr. Dave Crier. So tell us about being a brand ambassador. I assume that you have ample opportunities to make the acquaintance of, and assist and work with new musicians from around the world as well.
Yes, exactly. Because I have this contact with it. I mean, the same thing happened with Dave. It's a similar story to Spike. Dave is an amazing guy. He's a very, very dedicated drummer. He's he's a very, very dedicated drum builder. And he makes exceeding, just to quote the phrase, he's like the Mr. Kipling of drums. He makes exceedingly good drums. And I can vouch for that. Because I've got 3 of his kits here. And as a result of that, I've helped him bring lots of different people to the table. I've recently introduced him to Mel Gaynor from Simple Minds, who I know personally. and who now apparently uses one of his snares in his drum setup on stage, and he is very, very much into doing it. And the thing about Dave is he's got this amazing way of how to actually finish a drum. He finishes it, the finish on the drum, and he deals with wood like furniture. Right? Okay. And everybody who comes to see the kits that Sam uses, or myself, both of us are Crier ambassadors, will look at the kit and just says, look at how the kit is finished. Now, apart from being able to having the talent to do that, the drum kit sounds absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Both Sam and I have played quite a few kits, believe you me.
I can
and that's
imagine.
the relationship with Dave, really. You know.
Now, as I said, I'm sure you've had the opportunity to work with, speak with, and help out a lot of upcoming musicians. So what is the last question before we actually get into listening to some new music and getting everyone's opinion on it? What is a bit of advice you might give a new musician coming up, just starting out, wanting to make a break for it, I guess is the best word for it, to get into the business and find their way through it?
Well, it is very, very difficult. The music business has changed so much these days. It's certainly different to when I was actually doing it for myself, back in the day. But, it seems to have got a little bit more commercial. The thing that I don't really like what the music business is actually doing nowadays is it doesn't kind of like, it's looking at the person and promoting the person behind the music, not so much the songwriter, but the artist, and turning them and not aiding them in the development of their music. What they're doing is they're turning them into celebrities.
Right.
And that is, and basically what they're doing is that they're nurturing celebrities for the future. They're not nurturing music. They're not nurturing musicians and helping them to actually do it. I have a lot of contact with people in schools. I visit places like tech schools and the ACM, and especially, I know, although they have changed now, the people in Brighton, which is, guys there, Adam Bushell and people like that, who live in Brighton. I know them very, very well. And, I can see that, they're having... there's a lot of good. The sad thing about it is there's a lot of good talent coming out now, and nobody is actually supporting the good talent that is out there. And unfortunately, the people that actually look good nowadays, and people that the record industry can actually invest in terms of making them presenters or whatever in the future. That's who the music business are actually investing in, because that's where they're going to get their longevity from.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you in that regard. It seems like everybody's looking to make celebrities and not really musicians. That is a point that can't be stated enough. I agree with you there.
Yeah. So I would say, in terms of advice, what I think they should actually do is that, if you really love what you actually do, love what you do, is to carry on and believe in your passion. Most of the schools will help you actually do that. Unfortunately, the opportunities as the music business evolves in its present state, okay, something will come out of it, because because most of the people who are actually in the music business are many money moguls,
right?
People who are actually investing in it to make a quick buck, like what I was saying to you before, rather than actually nurturing somebody to say, this guy has got a talent. Why don't we see why don't we put him with this person, because he's just as talented, which is what used to happen before. It doesn't happen today. And most of the talent has got to be found nowadays by going to jam sessions, by going to and And that's why, one of the things I like about what you're actually doing at MSI, because you're giving, you're actually presenting music to a group of complete strangers and asking them their opinion. And it's just like, to get the approval, and you open it out to an audience who are listening.
Absolutely. We're happy to do it as well. And I think that on that note, we should probably get to listening to some of this music and finding out what everybody thinks about it. So if you're ready, Ian, James, Jerome, if you're all ready, along with everybody out in the audience, we'll go ahead and get started with song number 1 on today's broadcast. So this is song number 1 on today's MSI. Enjoy it, everyone. We'll be right back in just a couple of seconds. This is song number 1. There it is. That is song number one on the broadcast today. So let's go over to Ian Husbands, find out what he thought about it. Ian, song number one over to you. What do you think?
Okay, I like what is going on here. There is some good stuff. The acoustic sound, that sort of big strums coming through, that really cleanly recorded. In fact, mix wise and sound wise, it's all very clean. It's kind of cool, well recorded. The thing, from my point of view, with this track is it's lacking in production. It's kind of floating around in a genre that's not really defined at the moment. And it needs to go a bit more of a direction. You know, it needs to sort of take on a folkier, strummier, bouncier sort of groove. Or it needs to sort of go a little bit darker, sort of more industrial, sort of Depeche Mode sort of style stuff. And with that, the whole track needs to change a little bit and evolve a little bit. From personally, the guy's vocal is a little bit pitchy in places, but it sounds like he needs to sort of believe it a little bit more. It all sounded a little bit airy and a little bit unconvincing. It sounded quite dark and deep, and I wanted to hear him with a little bit more pain, a little bit more angst. And again, you know, some of the sort of transitions between the sort of that sort of bridge into that sort of drum breakdown into sort of that chorus, and it was just arrangement-wise was flat. You know, you needed something coming in on that chorus more to bring it in and give it a kick and lift it up that level a bit more. The addition of the backing vocals was nice, but I felt a little bit too late. I think, you know, with layered vocals, a bit more floating in and out some of the places on the verses, and maybe in that little sort of pre-chorus. There's an idea here. This is like a songwriter's demo, in my opinion. You need to get a real drummer on this. Jerome will surely agree with me on this. I mean, you know, I liked the groove, but, you know, you need to do more with the feels. Again, the transitions, you know, from verse to the pre-chorus into the chorus. Toms moving around, getting that groove building up, getting it moving on. And in that case, once the drums are built and are bigger, making that bass work a little bit more and getting that groove in. As I said, this sounds to me like a songwriter's demo, and this is something that you could present to a band or of people who are going to actually take this on to the next level. But I think that's where it's at.
All right, Ian, I appreciate it. Thank you. Over to James Anderson. James, what do you think of track number one?
I really love the foundations of this track, but I think that there sort of lacks a bit of ambition. It's a little bit sluggish in places, and I really feel that the vocal could have been treated a lot more with production, especially maybe coming from a perspective of just chucking some really wild effects over it, going for some double tracking, maybe even some ultra flanging, just to make it sound more otherworldly than it does at the moment. I think that the general idea of it's fantastic. It's the kind of thing that appeals to me, but there were just a few tricks that had been missed, and it's a shame, really. But as a foundation, it's really good. There's some nice ideas there, especially with having the sort of war and battle sounds in the background at the beginning. I really felt that there was going to be a lot of promise from hearing that in the intro. It's a little bit disappointed when it faded out really abruptly and it was noticeable. But these are all sort of production things that can be worked on, and we've just got to consider that it is pretty much in a demo state and it's from an independent artist. But I'm sure that given our constructive feedback, he can certainly go away and improve it significantly. I think this is a track that could be pretty groundbreaking if it was pulled off the right way. I think it just needs a bit of work.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, James. Thank you. Over to Mr. Jerome. Jerome, what do you think about track number one as you hear it today?
Well, listening to it, I love, I totally agree with what Ian and James are actually listening to. It's certainly, I don't see it in today's music as one of those things that's going to hit the top 10 or top 20. It's not one of those, it's just too moody for it. Where I do see its place in is that recording something like this, using it as a backing track for a film or a documentary is definitely one of those things with, especially using the added sound effects in the background. Unfortunately, I think lyrically, I couldn't actually make out very clearly what the words were actually conveying, but it certainly had good pace, and carried it from beginning to end. But as a track, measuring that against things in the charts at this moment in time, I can't see that actually having any validity, although it's as different as it can be. But on a personal level, I liked it.
All right. Well, I appreciate that as well. Let me introduce that track, everybody. The name of track number 1, it's called War, and it's by a gentleman named Michael Peterson. We appreciate Michael sending that track in to Music Scene Investigation. All right, we have 2 more songs to take a listen to. Let's go ahead and get started with track number 2 on today's MSI. Here it is, everyone. This is track number 2 on today's broadcast. Enjoy.
Sometimes I wonder if your heart is mine. Is true love our future? Tell me, are you supposed to be by my side? I'm blinded by all the gray. Maybe I can see a thing. My questions need answers. Tell me, do we go or do we stay? Baby, do we see forever? Will we be together? Do you leave my heart cold? Do I leave you open, hurting, heartbroken? Do we stay or do we go? I guess we'll never crossroads, don't know which move to make. Never expected to be unsure about our fate. So I ask you to please tell me, do we give love one more try? Let go and just move on. Keep the memories, just say goodbye. Forever, will we be together? Do you leave my heart cold? Baby, do I leave you open, hurting, heartbroken? Do we stay or do we go? I guess we'll never know. Guess we'll never know. Oh, 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 oh.
There you have song number 2 on the broadcast today. We're going to go over and start with James Anderson this time around. James, what do you think about track number 2?
Well, I think for the target audience, it's well constructed. It certainly fits the bill. The only thing, well, the things that I'm not overly keen on is the use of production in it, because the backing vocals sound so much more prominent and clear than the lead vocal, and there's sort of discrepancies in levels, and this is something that needs to have a big polished sound that really needs to cut through everything, needs to be radio friendly and loud. And I don't really think it has all of these things. There's definitely a few problems when it comes to the dynamic range that doesn't quite please the ear. Apart from that, nice voice. It's just a shame that it wasn't recorded that wonderfully. I mean, maybe it's a mix issue more than anything else. It's a bit difficult to tell on the one listen. But those backing vocals were how the lead vocal should have been. And it's one to go back to the drawing board with and sort of start again, really. The song's fine as it stands. It's right for that kind of thing. Some of the people on the chat room have been saying it's very Disney-like, which I'd tend to agree with. But overall, it's a good effort. It'd just be nice to hear the mix adjusted in those problem areas, especially with the voice. I thought that things were a bit busy with the effects as well. Maybe that could be toned down a little, but then again, it might just be personal preference of the artist.
All right. Well, James, I thank you very much, and we're going to go to Mr. Jerome Marcus next. Jerome, track number 2, your thoughts on it?
Well, I can't give you any thoughts on this one because I did have a technical glitch at this end. So I never got to actually listen to the track. I'm trying to actually get myself booted up this end. So I'm afraid on this, so I'm kind of like out on this one.
All right. Well, hopefully you'll be able to get everything booted back up and maybe take a listen to it here as you boot up. After everything gets booted back up. I said, hopefully you'll be able to get everything booted up and take a listen to it.
Unfortunately, that's the case. I'm trying to get myself booted up over here at the moment. So I apologize for that, by the way. So
no worries. I'll tell you what, I'll take my go and see how you get on. And we'll come back to you. Right. Okay.
Go ahead, Ian. Let's find out what I had my microphone go out for a second again. That's happened twice in the last year. Anyway, Ian, what do you think of it as we see if we can get Jerome through his technical issues?
Yeah, the Disney link in the chat room, I think, was going through my head. It's definitely got that commercial edge. I mean, I would go back and say that this wasn't one singer. This was several singers. This was kind of a boy band type affair, which is why James was detecting the sort of change in vocal levels and strength and stuff like that. And I felt that there was a couple of good singers there and one not so good singer. I mean, that first lead vocal sounded so nasally and muddy, as James said, compared to these big walls of backing vocals, which sounded crystal clear and well mixed. And the use of auto-tune was, go back and redo it. If you can sing like that, then go back and redo it. Don't rely on that use of auto-tune because it sounds bad to my ear personally. And the whole, the production was there. I liked where the production was going. There was a lot of ear candy in there. But again, this was just compressed to madness. You could hear everything clearly, but everything was on top of each other and was fighting for space at the same time. This needs to sort of be backed right off, opened out, give it some space. This would be a hit, or at least a very well-known album track if it was with a boy band. One of these boy bands out there sort of doing, I don't know, Blue or who are they still going? I don't know.
One Direction.
Oh no.
I hear NSYNC. I hear NSYNC is wanting to make a comeback.
NSYNC, they'll do.
Right.
Someone like that, I think that would be a good thing. If one of these bands got behind that track, I think you've got a wicked track. But as it stands, mix and production needs attention.
All right. Well, it sounds like Jerome has hopefully gotten things back in order from what I can tell. And let's go and find out. We'll touch base with Jerome and see what he has to say. Jerome?
Listen to some of it, at least half of it at this moment, now that I'm booted up again.
Cool.
I'm hoping it'll stay that way. But what I think itself, it's the whoever actually recorded this itself was trying to make this a big production, right? And with that being cinematic beat, what have you, to come across. The lyrics itself are very basic, very simple. The melody line is very basic, very simple. It just lacks for me that catchiness to hold my attention throughout the whole song, because it would call it the lyrics itself aren't that small. They're very, very obvious. They're very, very predictable. But the thing that got me more than anything else was the what do you call it? Trying to deliver a song bigger than its parts. Put it that way, But that's me. That's basically it. What did I think of it? Well, it's so for me. It's not kind of like my thing. It's one of those numbers. You either get it right or you don't get it right. It needs to be polished right from the get-go. Especially when you come to the end of actually recording everything. But it's, James said something, earlier on where, the backing vocals are far more in your face. I definitely do agree there. And, there's no balance there.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad you got your tech issues worked out and were able to listen to at least to some of that. So let me introduce that track to everybody. The name of track number 2 on today's broadcast, it's called Never Know. Imagine that. Never Know by Steve Knight. And Steve, we appreciate you sending that track in as well. We have one more track to take a listen to before our panel will select a song of the week. So why don't we go ahead and take a listen to that right now while everything's working. So here it is, track number 3 on MSI. Thank you and enjoy.
Starts again, no rainy days like the other days. Awake it seems, like a prophecy goes back to me. It came to me, blackened streets, but that's all gone away. Yeah, once I said the cityscape was a dead man's town. Black hometown gave a legacy like a Judas sheep. It came to me, blackened streets, but that's all gone away. Yeah, and I know I'm gonna say goodbye, and I know it's gonna make me cry, that I'm never gonna see your skies eyes again. Gotta leave this place, I'm coming back someday. Where I'm going nobody knows. Gotta leave this town, the rain is coming down, falling on my heavy soul. The in-between gives us fuel, I said, for another day. Day by day, she's a fantasy streets, but that's all gone away. Yeah, yeah. And I know I'm gonna say goodbye, and I know it's gonna make me cry, that I'm never gonna see your eyes, skies again. Gotta leave this place, I'm coming back someday. Where I'm going nobody knows. I gotta leave this town, the rain is coming down, falling on my heavy soul, 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 heavy soul.
There you have it. That is song number 3 on the broadcast. So we're going to start things out with Mr. Jerome Marcus, find out what he thought. Jerome, how'd the sound hold out this time? Everything work all right for you?
Yeah, it's fine. You know, this time around, excuse me. Yeah, it worked out pretty good. And what I thought about the song itself, as opposed to the other one, is this one's all stripped down. But it's stripped down way too much. I can see the potential in it from the get-go. When you're actually listening to the song, I think it'll be one of those songs that you would actually have out on a summer's day, listening to it in the car with the window wound down, with the sun beating down. All right, and that's how I would actually listen to it. And it's got that catch on it. To me, it's still a demo in process. It's not completed yet. It's something that needed, I can imagine the guy who actually wrote it, he said, I've got a song, let's rush into the studio, get it in there before I lose it, right? Mm-hmm. Or lose the impetus or the enthusiasm to express it. And he's put down what it is. I think there's some passage in lyric issues, personally, as a listener. Also, to me, it's way too stripped down for that thing. And it just, when you're putting it down to just in its basic form, to just a guitar and vocal, you've got to have something really strong, either a strong melody line, or especially, or for it to carry or a very good catchy guitar part. But for me, again, that it's a 50-50 thing. I can see its potential, and work in progress.
All right, fair enough. I appreciate it. Thank you. And over to Ian Husbands. Ian, what do you think of track number 3?
I think this has got a kind of Bob Dylan, George Harrison sort of esque feel to it, and I think that's cool. But yeah, as Jerome said, it sounds like, I've got an idea, I've got to get this down. I'm not even going to bother to tune my guitar properly. I'm just going to whack a drum loop in, and I'm just going to get this idea out of my head. We've all been there, we've all done it, and it's not a bad way of working. But personally, I think this needs development before sort of letting out into the world again. Take it to a drummer, take it to someone or a percussionist if you want to sort of keep it a bit more basic. If you want to keep it a bit more stripped down, that's fine. But, give it some life. And then giving them drums some life, you'll give the bass some life. And then giving the whole rhythm section some life, the whole track's going to start to take off. There is a good feel here. There is that sort of 70s sort of summer sound, I think. But yeah, it's just in a demo state at the moment. And the guy needs to sort of, get a bit more conviction in his singing, believe in himself a little bit more, a little bit pitchy in places, mix and stuff, it was okay for what it is. But yeah, as it needs developing.
All right, Ian, I appreciate that. Mr. James Anderson up next. James, track number 3, what do you think?
Well, considering the simple, straightforward instrumentation, I think it was a little bit disappointing, really, because there's so much more that could have been done, could have been a lot more polished. But as Jerome said, it was sort of really far too stripped down. And as both Ian and Jerome said, it's a bit like a demo, really. Um, Very disappointing. I mean, the actual songwriting itself is okay. It's a nice idea. It could probably be pulled off quite well if it had been well produced, but unfortunately, it's just a pretty standard demo, and I found it a little bit boring without trying to insult anyone. Just simply because it wasn't enjoyable to listen to in that form. I think I'd far more enjoyed it if it was up to a different standard production-wise. I'm not saying it's a bad song. It was just a little bit disappointing.
And then it had a fade out. Finish the song.
There
please.
is no
Finish
F in fade.
No, there is an F. There's an F in fade out.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna say.
I can't spell. I went to school here in the States.
Think harmonica. Some backing vocals. There's some real small things that you could do to make this track come alive. Don't neglect them. Look at the genres you're writing in and take ideas from it, because a bit of slide guitar would be beautiful in there.
All right. That's all right. I want to thank James for his thoughts and Ian's for his additional. All right. Let me introduce that track, and then we'll find out who the Song of the Week selection is going to be. Track number 3 is called Priest Town Crier, and that is from Philip Morris, and we appreciate Philip sending that track into Music Scene Investigation as well. All right, gentlemen, you have the task at hand of deciding on a Song of the Week. So talk amongst each other. You can sway them to your decision or vice versa. And let me know what your Song of the Week selection is. Song 1, 2, or 3.
Wow. Tough week.
Yeah, there you go.
Tough week.
I've never done this one before, but it seems to be what do you call it? It's one of those. I mean, there are some good potentials there, but how what do you call it is just deciding on which one. I think instinctively, for me, just before we go into discussion, out of the 3, if I had to choose one, it'll be song 1.
Well, you have to choose one.
Yeah, we have to choose one. You see,
it'll
be song 1.
There isn't a sort of outstanding, clear winner, really, because all of them are good in their own way, but they just sort of need a little bit of a push. I mean, normally we'll have one song that stands out in particular because it sounds very polished, but I think all 3 of these could be better. But for me, I think it's track 1, just simply because it's got the most potential out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm going to say, normally I look for a package. I look for the best package of the night. I try and sort of sum up all of the parts, add them together, and see what's sort of walking away with the most parts, as it were. This week I'm struggling to do that. So I'm kind of going to look at it from a point of view of who would I like to encourage more to get out there and make some changes to their track and get it sounding better. And I'm going to have to go with the boys and agree it's song number 1.
All right. Well, that's unanimous then. And song number 1, called War by Michael Peterson, is going to be our Song of the Week. So there you have that, and I appreciate your thoughts on those songs. Mr. Jerome Marcus, I appreciate you being on the panel this week. A great time, and really glad to have you join us.
My pleasure.
I want to encourage you.
It's been great. Actually, it's been great being on the panel and going through this experience.
We're glad you took the opportunity to join us. And before I let you go, I want you to tell us a little bit about your website, jeromemarcus.com, where I highly encourage everybody to go. Some good information out there. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, back in 2008 when my position got abolished. I still had to go out and get something done with nothing, under my sleeve. I went out to trade shows trying to get trying to get work more than anything else. But I found out that the only way that people would that I could actually get any work is to actually find out that the industry needed consulting. People are being let go, and but they still wanted. I was just getting phone calls and phone calls and phone calls and phone calls about, what should I do here, what should I do there, but nobody would give me full employment. So I started my website, and I just said, you know what, I could try a consultancy role. Got with a few people who came back as returning customers, and I started my website from there. And it's there, and I form an advisory service to the business, trying to get people and steer them into the right way. And most companies who are bigger companies that are out there, apart from it, I also write articles for magazines. I've written for Rhythm Magazine and Drummer Magazine and loads of magazines around the world. And it's basically, the website was put together to help primarily businesses, big businesses, big drum companies like Alesis and that I can be in Dave Carrera, even boutique companies that are still starting out, to make to help them with their business, because companies now are downsizing.
Yeah. And
because they're downsizing these days, they don't have the manpower to actually run the company in as efficiently as they actually want it. So they subcontract their work out to people because they still need to lead. They still need to meet deadlines. And because they need those deadlines, I give the advice to try and get them done when it's coming up to trade shows. I've come up to LA and Los Angeles for the huge NAMM show at Anaheim. I've visited loads of different places, but primarily talking about the website and itself, that's what it's there for. It's just basically there to advise people. But I also advise young up-and-coming people and try and steer them into what to do and what not to do within the business with what I know.
And I'm sure they appreciate that. I know we appreciate that. And again, thank you for joining us on the broadcast today. Ian, James, thank you as well. I want to thank everybody out in the audience for being here. Next week's broadcast, want to make sure you're here. Mr. Mark Lamb, Dansky will be joining us on the show from Worldwide Indie Radio. I look forward to seeing you then. And Jerome, certainly hope you can come back and join us again real soon.
It'll be my pleasure.
Well, we appreciate it and look forward to it. Thanks for being here, everybody. We're going to play out with Michael Peterson's War as our song of the week. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on Music Scene Investigation.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye now. Bye.